Over the last couple of years, I've kind of had this ongoing the series that I've been doing. It's the Go series, because Jesus every once in a while would talk with people, and he would say, "Go," and it was one of action. I want you to do something with your faith. He would say, "Go and make disciples." He said it wasn't just "Oh, that was nice to hear, Jesus." It was like, "Go, do this. Wherever you go, do this thing." He talks with the lady who came. She was going to be killed before him because she was caught in adultery. And he says, "Go and sin no more." Jesus was always asking people to go, have some action in your life, do something with your faith. So today, we get to the go of reconciliation. And as we just talked about here, Katie just mentioned what reconciliation is. Hopefully you didn't all have to look it up in a dictionary. But we even talked about it last week. Reconciliation is just simply this: to restore friendly relations between people. To restore friendly relationship. Last week we talked about how we are reconciled. That God says, "I've given you this mission, this ministry of reconciling other people to God, because you've been reconciled." Jesus came so that you could be in a right relationship with God. And this is important. I want you to know this, so this is your job. And now today we get to the other side of that coin. We want people to be reconciled with God. And now he says, "I want you to go and be reconciled." This means with other people. And this is the part that we go, "Oh, wait a minute. Is this really real here?" God says, I want you to be reconciled with other people. And in every situation, every relationship that you have, seek reconciliation, friendly relationships, so that there's no conflict between you, that there's nothing that is going to cause you to look at them, "Oh, that person." And that God would, I pray this for us all today. I pray that God would bother you this week. Yes, I said that. I said that I want God to bother you about these are the things, the relationships that you have that need some reconciliation. That there's something between you and this other person. That you know that you either have done something or they have done something. There's animosity there, it's conflict. And that you would choose, even just right now before we even get farther in, that you would choose, when God brings this need for reconciliation, that you would choose to do it. That's my prayer for us all today, that before we leave, that, okay, if God brings this person to mind, I will do what I need to do to try to make peace. That's a big ask, I know. It's a big ask. And some already have just tuned me out. I say, "Oh, come on. I just want to sit here. Don't make me change. Don't make me do something." But our God is always asking us to do something. He's always saying, "Go. This is important. I want you to do this. Go and do this." And this morning he tells us, "Go and be reconciled." Go. It's important. This is how seriously our Jesus takes us. Let me read a little bit. Just a short little part. Jesus talks about the go of reconciliation and how important it is. Let me just read it to you. There's a Sermon on the Mount, and he says this: "So if you are presenting a sacrifice at the altar in the temple," it's kind of like if you brought a gift to church, a sacrifice in the temple, and suddenly remember that someone has something against you. Somebody has something against you. Leave your sacrifice there at the altar. Go and be reconciled to that person, and then come and offer your sacrifice to God. And I want you to notice a couple things here. I just want you to notice three things on what Jesus says. He says this is not about the other person. It's not about this other person who has something against you. This is about you. In all this, this is about you. If you notice, you have come to church to offer your gift of praise, to offer a gift in the collection. However, you have come to church. If you notice that somebody's got something against you, then you go be reconciled. And then you come back. It's all about us. It's about you. This is an obedience thing that God has brought this to your mind, and He says, I want you to do this. This is important that you resolve this, that you have reconciliation. There are how many people that all of a sudden you just thought of, man, I got to do this one and this one and this one. And all of a sudden, Jesus is saying, this is about you. It's not about this other person. Well, Matt, you don't know what they've done to me. You do not know how mean they were or how hard feelings I have. And Jesus is saying, no, this is about you. This is about you. Don't leave that person out of that. It does not matter. I want to talk to you a moment. Because it's so easy for us to go, hey, what about them? I want this to be even. I want justice. Jesus is saying, no. I want you to obey me because it's about you. Notice another thing here. Jesus talks about how God will bring you to be aware of this reconciliation. We talk about the work of the Holy Spirit is to convict us, to bring to mind things. And the Spirit brings to mind this need of reconciliation. It brings it right to us. It says, I don't care who threw the first stone. This is about, I brought this to your mind. I made you aware of it. Now what will you do? What will you do? How many times does God bring people to your mind? And we say, oh yeah, that person. Oh, that person. And then we leave it there. We don't go the route of reconciliation to try to solve it. Because Jesus says, go and reconcile that. It's important. I encourage you, I almost beg you to not ignore the people that God brings into your mind. Please do not leave here or even during the week and say, oh yeah, that person came to mind, and then just ignore it. Don't ignore that. If it's important enough for God to bring this person to your mind, it's important enough for you to take care of it. He brought it to your mind because that's the exact thing He wants you to deal with. It's important. Certain things that Jesus talks about are more important at different times. But this is something that He brought to mind because this is important now. It's so much so, if you come to church and you are worshiping and Jesus, all of a sudden, oh, I remember that person. It might be as important enough to go out and make a phone call to somebody and go start the process of reconciling. I welcome that. That if people like streaming through that door, just going outside, out into the entryway, I got to call this person. That's okay. But if it's important enough for God to bring this person to your mind, it's important enough that that's what's needed right now. I'll bring that up that if you have some people in Hawaii that you have bad feelings towards, it's 4 a.m. there. So calling them, waking them up, I don't know if that's the best way to go. All I'm saying is if it's important enough for God to bring it to your mind and to make you aware of it, it's necessary to take care of it. Well, notice one last thing here. This is about you. This is about God making you aware of the needs for reconciliation. But notice this. It's not about the behavior. It's about your heart. The heart changes before the body acts. You have to choose. This is important to my God. I need to go and be reconciled. Your heart changes before you go. Jesus demands a choice. He says, work on this. I want you to choose that I will make this a priority, because it's a priority to Jesus already, that I'm going to take care of this. And I don't know the route that it's going to go. I don't know exactly where it'll end. But God has made this person, you become aware of this person. It's important. He wants you to take some steps here. So that's where I want to get to. What does it mean to be reconciled? Because obviously, Jesus is making a big deal about this. If it's a big deal enough to say, hey, you're here, I want you to stop whatever you're doing and go take care of this. Go and be reconciled. If it's that important to Jesus, it's important we need to take care of this. We need to figure out, how do we get to reconciliation? And let me talk about the spectrum here, because we have unreconciled. We understand this. Unreconciled is full of pain and bitterness and anger and just the resentment of the other person. There is no trust. And then there's totally reconciled. Totally reconciled, there is peace in that relationship. There's not that person, every time I think of them, it just like drives me crazy. There's good communication, there's love, there's care for the other person. There's nothing that stands between them. And I want to make sure that you understand there's kind of like an art. This is the spectrum, and we want to get to totally reconciled. We want to get to that. Sometimes we have to get there along the way, and there's like train stops almost to get to it. And sometimes we spend longer at different stops. But the idea that Jesus is saying, I don't want there to be anything between your relationship. I don't want things to just be totally toxic. I want it to be resolved. So let me talk about a couple of them here. Let me talk about being forgiven, not reconciled. To be forgiven, but not reconciled. You go to somebody and say, I totally messed up. I am so sorry. And they say, all right, I forgive you. But they don't want to resolve the relationship and make it go forward again. There was old girlfriends of me. I had to go to them and say, I am so sorry how this ended. I was a jerk. Sorry. I don't want to be your best friend. I think that would be very unfair to my wife and my kids. I think it would be totally out of bounds. But I needed to go the route of saying, I know you have something against me. I am sorry. And ask for forgiveness. Not to totally renew the relationship. That's not what it is. But to say, I need to clear away all this. I want to get it all out of the way. To be forgiven. Not fully reconciled. That's a step along that way. And sometimes it needs to stay there, especially if it's all old flames or so. That's a good place to end that. But there's some other ones. What if we ask for horizontally reconciled, but not vertically? Oftentimes we go that route. We put things on the back burner. We say, God, I want to be reconciled with this person. I am so sorry that I did this to them. God, would you forgive me because I have totally messed up. I've not acted as a child of God. And each time God says, I forgive you. I forgive you. Go be reconciled here with that other person. And we haven't gotten to that person. We haven't made the phone call. We haven't sent the email to say, I'm sorry. I messed up. I am responsible in some way for this toxic need for reconciliation. I have some role that I've played. And I am sad that this is how it has gotten to this point. Sometimes we put it to the back burner and we forget about it too. We just leave it there. And then it becomes like a stinky thing in our closet that we just, oh, that smells. Oh, let's just plug in one of those Glade air fresheners and just pretend nothing's going on there. But it's always there. It's always stinking. And God knows about it and He brings it to your mind. And He says, I want you to go and be reconciled. Oh, no, I need to put in another Glade freshener here because it's getting too stinky in the closet here. If it's important enough to Jesus to bring it to your mind, He's saying, go. You've been reconciled with me. I've forgiven you. Go be reconciled with them. Take that step. Don't leave it on the back burner. I brought it to your mind for a reason. Go. Be reconciled. Now, let me give you another one. Sometimes we go the route of partial reconciliation. Partial. It's partial. And it starts this way. It's like, all right, I'm really sorry for what happened. Yeah, good, awesome. And you've done your part. You said, all right, I would like it to be better than what it is. All right, we're good. And we don't get all the way to fixing it because sometimes the emotions are so raw. And the hurt is so deep, there's not enough time that has gone on. And it's like, all right, I hear you, I just can't do this right now. And that person just puts you to the side a little bit. And you say, okay, I need to get baby steps here. And it's partial reconciliation, but it's not to fully yet. We want to walk through that. Sometimes marriages get this way. There's tough things that happen in this marriage, and it's like, no, why? And I can't fully get there yet. I know I want to get to fully reconciled, totally reconciled, but I'm not there yet. I need to process this. I need to make sense out of this. I need to let go of the anger myself. And sometimes that's our relationships. We just haven't gotten there yet, and we need a little bit more time. And then if you push that one, that wall tightens up, and it just gets more and more tough. The goal is always reconciliation. And we're not there yet. It's just like, all right, I need to work through that. And if God brings that to mind, it's just like, hey, I want to inch you towards that again. Come on, let's go. Partial. I want to go one last one in here that I want you to notice this. Sometimes we get stuck on fake reconciliation. We notice this with little kids, right? The little kids, the 4-year-olds. Hey, you can't say that word. Go and apologize to your sister. I'm sorry. Right? I'm the only person that's ever done that. I know, yeah. I've done that, and my heart wasn't in that. I just didn't even want to do it. And if I said the words, Mom's happy, I'm good. I can go outside and then just growl at the whole day and maybe get back at her later. And then we know this. We do that in the church all the time. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I hate her. I got some bad feelings for that person. And we go on and we smile and everything's all right until we leave the doors and we get in our car and we drive home and we just don't deal with it. That's fake reconciliation. And Jesus says, not a chance do I want that. I want you to go and be reconciled with this person because they've got something against you. My friends in Minnesota, we know this as Minnesota nice. Hey, how you doing? Boy, I hate your guts, but I'm going to smile the whole time. And that's not the church. It was a welcome thing for me to come to Muskegon because oftentimes Muskegonites don't have that. Boy, I don't like you. I'm going to tell you about it. Woo! Right in your face, right? Well, but you don't have to break through that wall of fake reconciliation. And that's of all the things I like, that's kind of something I like, and I don't like it, but I like that you don't have to be fake about it. Don't be fake about it. Because Jesus doesn't call us to, come to church, give your offering before God, pretend that you're made reconciliation, and then go home. He says, go and be reconciled. They've got something against you. This is important. Go and be reconciled. This is the things that Jesus calls us to do. And in this whole spectrum to get to reconciliation, the necessity here is prayer. If you're not saying, God, I need your power on this because by myself I am a mess, and I will stay within my anger, and I will hold on to my hurts, and I will just hold it as a badge of honor because this is what needs to happen. And I will stay strong this way. I won't be weak and say, I'm sorry. No, I want to be strong. Without prayer and asking for God's power, we do not get through this at all. And you know that you need this peace that only comes from God. We need His power. And God, I need you to give me opportunities on this one because, I'm a little scared to do this. I am scared. This is not my normal way of doing things. God, I need your power. I need you to provide ways to do this. I want to do it the way you would like to do it because I want the peace that comes from being reconciled with people. I'm tired of this baggage. It's so heavy. God, would you help me with this? Without prayer, guys, it just doesn't work. Let me give you an example here, because sometimes we forget that this is real world. This is real world. Reconciliation is needed in so many relationships of ours, and we don't see it. December 16th. You can write it on your calendar. December 16th is National Reconciliation Day. National Reconciliation Day, well, it's in South Africa, but I think we ought to adopt it. December 16th, Reconciliation Day. And we don't know a lot about the history of South Africa, but let me bring South African history and make it analogous to us. We had the Civil War, and then we tried to make things right. But it didn't go right. We had Jim Crow laws. We had segregation where, people can be separated. We got black and white drinking fountains. Well, there's separation between people, instituted by laws. Until Martin Luther King Jr. came and said, this is not right. We have not been drawn to this. This is not what America is. Yet all people are created equal. That's not Martin Luther King Jr. This is Nelson Mandela and de Klerk. Now, let me tell you a little bit about South Africa in this way. We had segregation. They had what was called apartheid. It was, people were separated by law. The white minority had all the power. And they set up the laws so people were separate. And we say, wow, that's just unheard of. That's 50 years ago for us. This was back in the 50s for them. Nelson Mandela, he started a nonviolent opposition to this and said, this is wrong. He was captured and put in prison for 27 years. 27 years, and you can go back. You guys know what Nelson Mandela looks like. He was put in prison for 27 years, and then he was released in 1990. And he worked with the President de Klerk to end apartheid. And within 5 years, they held elections to say, you know what? We're going to make this happen. And he was elected president. And you're thinking, yeah, he's president. This would be great. Make those people pay. There's got to be even in here. There's got to be justice. Because people are hurting. For years they've had injustice in this world. And South Africa had lots of people that were hurt by the state. People killed. people raped, children taken. And there was pain. And this is what he did. To get to reconciliation, because there's no even, what price do you put on a child that was killed? What price would make that even? There's no even. Nelson Mandela said this: we are going to have a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Truth and reconciliation. We're not going to sugarcoat this. Bad things happened. We need to tell people this is what happened. This was what has caused the rift, this need for reconciliation. We're going to have some truth come out. And then we're going to find ways to reconcile. Not everybody is an evil monster that was in this situation, but some people were involved in it. And what happened was they encouraged people to come forward and say, this is what you did. You got to own up to what you did. And we will find every way to absolve you of this. And to say, there's amnesty here. We are not holding you, we're not going to put you in prison. We're going to release you of the guilt of this. The goal was total reconciliation. It wasn't even. It wasn't trying to get your justice in. It was to go towards reconciliation. This is what it was. Mandela's focus was this. He would say things like, instead of hatred and revenge, we choose reconciliation and nation building. We want to build this relationship up again. And this nation will only thrive if there is peace again. How many people can you put in prison or execute to make things even? You can't. We need to get to reconciliation. He would say things like this: in the end, reconciliation is a spiritual process which requires more than just legal framework. It has to happen in the hearts and the minds of people. Unless people who have been hurt, who have injustice in their life, can get to the peace of forgiveness, there will not be any peace in this nation. He said one more thing that I think is so vital. He said, forgiveness liberates the soul. I should say that again. Forgiveness liberates the soul. It removes fear. That is why it is such a powerful weapon. Forgiveness, leading towards reconciliation. Now, you're not going to be best friends with that person that killed your child, but you want to bring forgiveness so that you bring peace. I'm not sure how they did it, but there was forgiveness that led to reconciliation. What about us? Do we need a day of reconciliation? Maybe today is a day of reconciliation. That we say, I know this person has some bad feelings towards me, that I've done these things. Or maybe it's just a toxic soup that we've done lots of things, and I need to do my part. I need to get rid of this need for justice. I need to get rid of my pain and anger and this unreconciled relationship. I need to find peace. Because unless I get through this and get to forgiveness, I will not have peace and reconciled relationships. So Jesus speaks to us today. He says, so if you're presenting a gift at church today, and you suddenly remember that someone has something against you, leave your gift at church. Leave it there. Go and be reconciled to that person. Go and be reconciled. Then come and offer your gift to God. Oh, this is so important. May we choose reconciliation today. That we choose to go and see people that they're just like us who are in need of Jesus. May we choose to go and give up our right for justice and our anger. May we choose to go and forgive people from our hearts. May we choose to go in God's awesome power and seek peace reconciliation with our fellow brothers and sisters. May we choose to go this week and go and be reconciled. Pray with me.